welcome back to the channel. This is a Jane's Doodle image. It's called Pajama Party. I've chosen it to be sort of like a feel better, wish you were here sort of pajama party. I am going to come in with a BG13 for my darkest color. I have BG72, BG34 and BG11 for my lightest for this color combination. I've chosen to color my little dude's dressing gown in just all the same colors. He's going to have a matchy dressing gown. I am trying to think where things are sitting over the top of something else. So his jar. Now, of course, you could color his jar like a clear color, but I chose not to, only because it's quite small and I'm still trying to get practice at coloring jars, so I probably should have done it. But for this particular little one, we're going to just paint him a darker color. So with his dressing gown, sort of the sides, the height, the light source is from the sort of the top, front, sort of frontish top. So the bottom of his arms is going to have a little bit. The sides of his body, the tassels are going to, well, they're not tassels, the tie for his dressing gown is also going to project a little bit of a shadow, because it is actually, we want it to look like it is 3D rather than a flat colored image. And so we've got the teapot, the sloth. Can we just like enjoy the sloths? I'm a bit of a sloth fan. I like quite a few different animals, sloths, otters are pretty stinking cute. There's animals. But I've also got my teacups that are going to be the same sort of color. And this is so we have, even though we've got a really big image here, I just like the uniform going through my image. I don't like to bring in new colors. It's more pleasing to the eye. So again, we're trying to make sure that our teacups have a shadow on the sides of them and a little bit darker. This combination, as you can read, is R59, R29, YR68, YR16 and YR14. There's a lot. My apple, because this is a real red orange combination, I of course wanted my apple to be a little bit more redder than orange. So when I go through the second time, now I don't know too many people that don't do this with Copic markers, you go through twice with the darkest color. This is the way I color. This is what suits me. Okay, a lot of people will have you color a different way. They will have you put that lightest color, the YR14, over the whole thing. And that's fine. But that doesn't suit me and how I like it and how I want. And that's what I want to suggest. I don't really believe there is a right and wrong way. The people that make Copic markers will tell you otherwise. But if you're struggling with coloring, try it a different way. Okay, that's my suggestion. And if that works for you, what does it matter? It's knowing the rules. I've discussed this before. It's knowing the rules and then knowing how to break them or intentionally break them. My pajama for my elephant, again, I am going to forget the little neck, the collar on him. So you will see me color that in. So never fear. The pajamas are all going to be again in the same colors. I'm going to leave the cuffs and the cuffs of his trousers, are they still the cuffs when they're cuffs on your arms, but they're still cuffs, I think they are, on your trousers. I'm going to have them slightly more orangey. And this We are going to use a little bit of tip to tip just to make sure it blends all up, because it did take me a little while with this color combination. It's not a straightforward color job. So, it's going to take me a little time to just organize that. Again, where things are sitting over the top of each other, we're giving the illusion that his body is rounded. So I've got my highlight sort of in my front. I've done a darker strip on his pajama bottom just to sort of make it look like, he's gotten a button-up pajama top, and it does sit out a tiny little tidgy bit. The one thing I found, you do have to be a little bit careful with trousers, because if you do too much dark in the crotch area, he sort of looks like he's had a little bit of an accident. So you do have to be a little bit careful to make sure you've got enough light in that area. Okay, now you're probably going to look at images and that's all you're going to see if someone's coloured it a little bit heavy in the bottom. That's okay. So onto my yellow combination. This is sort of the main colours that I've got: the blue greens, I've got the red orange, and I've got the yellow. I am going to throw in some browns and greys, but that is going to be sort of pretty much it. Now, I originally had Y19, Y15 and Y02. I like a pretty strong contrast. You can definitely see that with my red orange. I like a strong contrast. So I bought in the YR16, which is sort of a bit more of a orange color. He's actually out of the red orange combination that we've had. This little sloth, I am going to color the trim on his hat, his cuffs, and his collar in that blue green image, because we've got the elephant and the bear with all the matchy and everything else. I thought it would just be fun. I liked it. So, that's what happens. I liked it, so that's what we do. So, of course, the croissant is going to have a highlight. His arm is going to have a bit of a highlight, and his belly is nice and rounded. So we're going to have a little bit of his highlight near his arm, because, of course, that is brought out. That is out extension to his body. And to give it a little bit of an illusion that the arm is out there, I just need to clean up a little bit. I leave the right hand side of his front arm holding the book has a little bit of a reflective shadow, which basically is where a millimeter, if that, you put a little bit of your darkest color down there just to help break it up between the body and the arm. The lighter color doesn't really matter, but if you had a lot of that, the red orange, if you had a lot of that, and his body, you wanted him to be darker around his body, you wanted the leg to pop out a little bit more, then that is really beneficial. This is what I like, and this is what I sort of suggest to people. This is my way of colouring. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at this. I enjoy what I do, and I like to make videos. So that's pretty much it. Lots of people colouring in lots of different ways. In the bowl here, we've got something. We're going to call it a porridge, but it's a yellow porridge. And all I've done is did a little bit of stippling, which is little dots, because it is a bumpy little image. Just through, and then through we're just going to call it a porridge. And the same thing with each of the other colours. The spoon, I actually do not colour at all. The croissants we've got here are E57, 47 and E41. And a little bit of tip to tip technique just to sort of help to blend it in a little bit more. The stalk is going to be the same sort of colours. I will come back, we'll talk about the stalk in a little bit. The sloth, now his face is E71, E31 and E81. With this, I'm pretty much doing down the bottom and up underneath his hat. His body, his dots, as you would have seen there, are all the E89, E87 and E84. So just to make it a little bit of a difference. Now this C6 is bone dry. So again, a little bit of tip to tip technique just to blend that out a little bit. I've got him all fixed up now. The bear is E29, E25 and E21. Now there is a lot of a jump between the E25 and E21. This is very much a case where you use the tip to tip technique, as you can see me using there. Now, if you don't know about this technique, it's where you're going to put the lighter color and touch it to the darker color. So it's picking up a little bit of the darker, but then you use it off. You may stain your tip of your lighter color, but it's fine. It's perfectly normal. Just make sure on a scrap piece of paper, you just do some swipes until the color is off and back to a standard color, okay? But we're just going through. I've done little dots on him just to give the indication of fur. Now, don't use too much of the darker color. This is what I think. This is my opinion. Don't use too much of the darker color. So I would do little brush strokes of the darker color, but very, very lightly. And then when I go back through the rest of the time, I won't touch the darker color again. I'll lay it down, generally speaking. I lay it down once. So this little dude, he's got a really light face. In real life, he's not quite that light. The video sort of protects a lot lighter color. You can see it a little bit better there. The book is going, and the ground. The ground is also going to be W5, W3 and W1. This is just going to give the book a little bit of something. And I like my images grounded. So this is just my personal preference that I like my images sitting on something just so they're not floating in midair. But that's me. That's all there is to it. The claws on our little slothy dude, they're basically C7, C5 and C3. I did do C7, but I've forgotten to write it in there. Our elephant is a combination of the same colours. So all I see is C7, 5, 3 and 1. The R20, I am going to put him on on the ears and also on his toenails, his toenails of his feet and his hyphens hands, because elephants don't usually hold bowls like that, but he's pretty stinking cute, so we'll accept him. With the R29, now you could, if you wanted a little softer color, you could go through and do R30 and then just using like this C, you could go C3 if that's what you wanted, but I like to use C1 just over the top of the pink, which is just going to blend that down a little bit. I wanted to make sure his face wasn't too dark. One of my pens was running out. I should say was running out a little bit, so we needed to fix that. The apple that I'm going to use, now I'm just reading my notes. I used B13. Now that was too blue-green for an apple, okay? So I actually, I've already still forgotten it. I actually glaze over it with Y15. Now color glazing, because they are transparent, Copic markers are transparent, they will layer over the top of each other. So this will give my blue-green a little bit more of a green. Okay. This stencil is from Tailored Expressions. It's called Party Popper Stencils. It is a 6x6. I feel it's smaller than a 6x6, but I have used Bundle Sage. Now with the little dots here, now because I don't really have it in, like it has notches in it. You know, it's not set up for the way that I'm using it. Okay. So I'm just eyeballing it and trying to get the majority of my little sprinkles, my sparkles, or my half circles. I don't know what it is. Not on my green, because red and green do not play nice together. So I'm also using on this, we've got mustard seed and barn door, because I thought it was a nice little combination between, like, matchy, similar to the colors that we're using. I have trimmed that down with a deckled edge. Now I don't know who this was, what brand this one was, but the deckled edge. The Party Popper here I've trimmed down with some paper rose stitched rectangles. This is the Aussie size. So paper rose has some American peep sizing, and I don't really know how to describe it, but our card bases are half an A4, so that sort of size. So I've layered it up with a bit of black. I foam mounted my colouring. I forgot to press play, so we've got all this picket fence. This is tangerine and sunlight yellow, and I'm putting that down with a little bit of multi-matte medium. So that is my card for today. I hope you're well. Take care. Hit the like and subscribe if you haven't yet done that. It'd be awesome. Thank you.